Welcome back, everyone. My name is Mahara Wayman, and this is my Women of Courage series. I'm very excited to be chatting with Leah today. Leah, welcome to the program, and would you mind telling us a bit about yourself before we get started?
Well, I'm Leah. I've known Mahara for quite some time. I think it's been many years, and I think we've become friends over this time, which has been lovely. A little bit about me. I'm a mother of three. I've been a video production producer and director for 30 something years. It'll date myself there. I'm very active, love life, love being in the moment.
Oh, that's a good quality to have. So, as you know, Leah, we are chatting about courage and specifically what our definition of courage is. So, I was wondering if we could open with that. Would you mind telling us what is your definition of courage?
Well, courage, I think it takes on many, many, many meanings. When you're younger, or the simplistic version, it's to have the courage to jump off a cliff into the ocean. That takes courage. Because you're standing on that cliff. Can I do it? That takes courage. Or do I have courage to say no, or to say what I think, to let people know what's on your mind? Sometimes that takes courage. And then there's the deeper part of courage. And that deeper part of courage, I think, is more like vulnerability. It's marrying vulnerability and courage together. Because if you allow yourself to be vulnerable, that takes courage. And if you have courage, you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And I think that's something I've thought a lot about, because I've listened to a lot of podcasts and watched a lot of videos and read a lot of books with Brene Brown. And she talks a lot about vulnerability and courage. So I think if you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you find the courage to do so, and vice versa. So that's sort of my definition of it. We can get into deeper, but that's the nutshell.
I love that you brought up Brene Brown because I've listened to her quite a bit as well recently, and also Susan David. And Susan David has an amazing quote, while I'm quoting her, about courage, and that is that um, courage isn't being fearless; it's fear walking. So it's very much to your point, Leah. It's taking what frightens you, what you're feeling vulnerable about, and still moving forward towards it. Yeah, I like that. I like that. So speaking of courage and recognizing vulnerability, what is your relationship with courage?
I think my relationship with courage is probably a very deep one. I think when something happens in your life, something you have no control over, something that is the worst thing that you can imagine happening, whatever that may be, and then you are forced to get up in the morning, that takes courage. When you make the decision in that moment that you're going to move forward in life, that takes courage. When you make the decision that not only are you going to move forward, but you're going to find joy in your life, that takes courage. When you make the decision that not only are you going to find joy and you're going to move forward, but you're going to bring everything you can into life, live in the moment, create relationships, find a new way to live, taking what has happened with you, bringing it forward with you, not dwelling in the past, but also keeping that past with you as part of you. And it's a very different relationship. But I think that takes a lot of courage to try to figure out what this new life is going to be, because you're now a different person, different thoughts, a different way of living. And now you're trying to find joy, and you're trying to find things to be grateful for in a different way. And that takes courage, because it's an absolute conscious decision to do that. So that probably be my personal relationship with courage.
I heard a lot in that, Leah, but what really struck me was when you said it takes a conscious decision to be courage. Can you give us an example of that?
Well, every day. I think about courage. When you sent this email asking, this is a word I think about every day. I think about courage every day. Um, to be conscious about it, I'd say my gratitude journal is one big thing. I decided I was going to have a gratitude journal, and that was actually a suggestion from a podcast I listened to with Gretchen Rubin. She does a podcast called Happier, and she did a book called The Happiness Project, because I was really looking for ways to become happy in my life. How can I bring happiness in? So she suggested a gratitude journal. And I think the courage to actually look for gratitude in your life when you're feeling at the lowest of lows is hard to do. But once you start doing that, it becomes very conscious. Throughout the whole day, I'm looking for that one little tidbit that's going to go into my gratitude journal. And I do one word to one line. It's not journaling. I'm not writing a novel. I don't care if it's spelled right. I don't care if punctuation's correct. It's one word to one line. And I spend my day looking for that. What's going in my gratitude journal tonight? And I get excited about it. So that takes courage to actually look for those things. And then now it becomes a habit and it brings you so much joy. And at the end of the night, I'm so excited to put down, I'm putting this in tonight. I'm putting this in my gratitude journal. So to take that step and move forward and have that, I think that took a lot of courage to find a way that actually worked for me, that I was looking for that joy in life.
Wow, you kind of answered my next question, which was how has this act changed your life? So I wouldn't mind though if you just go on a little bit more about this habit of writing in a gratitude journal, because we do hear that a lot. It's all the buzz these days is to have a gratitude journal. But tell us a little bit more about that and how it's changed your life.
Well, the one thing it's done is I think I live in the moment now, and I never did before. I think I used to live a lot in the future. I will enjoy it when this happens. When I have so much money, this happens. Let's plan this trip, and that'll be so exciting when that happens. All those things that you look forward to in the future. And now I think the gratitude journal really pulls me right into the moment. And if you're living in the moment, you get so much more out of life. I mean, whether it's walking in a trail and you see a bird you've never seen before, or laughing while you're binge watching a TV show, or spending time with your family or friends, whatever it may be, even if you're working on a work project, if it's something that you enjoy doing, you're in the moment and you take more joy out of it. Or food, something that you're eating, it tastes better. Everything in the moment. I think I live in the moment now, and the gratitude journal does that because I'm looking for those items, which is in the future because I'm writing it in the evening, but it's not far off in the future.
So I love that, by the way, and it's something that I'm definitely working on myself. But going back to this idea of courage, what I'm hearing is that despite having some challenges and difficult moments in our lives, we can look to courage to help us move on. And moving on doesn't mean forgetting what happened or ignoring the fact that we've experienced this tragedy, for example. But it doesn't mean that it has to hold us back from living a life of purpose and joy and a life of gratitude.
It's
Did
interesting.
I sum that up correctly?
Yes and no.
Okay,
I'm going to
go
be
from there.
honest there. The power of words, like the power of courage, like I say, it's a word I think about a lot. But the words that you use there, it's interesting how I've changed them. Moving on to me never happens. You cannot move on, not from what's happened with us. I'm not moving on. I will never move on. I'm moving forward, and I'm moving forward with it. Moving forward is different than moving on. When
Okay,
you move
stop right there.
on,
Wait, no, that's very powerful. And I want to just take a moment of a second of silence. And then I'm going to ask you to repeat that because I think that's very powerful. And I want to thank you for calling me out on the difference. Go ahead.
okay, the difference between moving on and moving forward, when you move on, you're leaving something behind. And I'm not leaving anything behind. When something this horrific happens, you don't want to leave it behind. You want to leave behind segments of it, but you don't want to leave all of it behind. You want to move forward, and to move forward with it is completely different. So when I hear people say moving on, it's time to move on, change that word, the power of words, to moving forward. I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward with my life, and I'm taking what it is with me, and I'm trying to learn from it, and I'm trying to be the best I can be with it. And moving forward allows you to do that.
I think that's really powerful. And I do talk a lot about the power of language in another series that I'm doing. So thank you for pointing that out. Um, and thank you for sharing. I think there's been a lot of talk around courage that leaves us in a place of struggle and negativity. But what I liked about our conversation, what I'm enjoying, Leah, is the brightness around our conversation, that the lightness and the levity that admitting the need to move forward gives us. Because what I heard from you was moving forward allows us to continue to live in the moment with the experience, not pretending and trying to leave the experience in the past.
You heard it right. Absolutely.
Wow, very
Absolutely.
powerful.
And there's one more thing I think the power of words, Mahara, that you said is taking, and that's part of courage as well. Like, just say somebody asks you, how are you? I mean, most people who ask how you are, it's just a friendly, like saying hello. But if it's somebody you know that you haven't seen in a long time, they're really asking, how are you? When I think about the word, how are you? I am not well. Life is not good in the essence of the deep, deep meaning of it. It will never be again. That is the way it is. So I've taken those words and I'm looking at the intent, the other power of words. When somebody says something and it rubs you the wrong way, is you look at what are they intending to say? They want to hear that everything's good. They're not really asking, how are you? They know that you're not well in the big picture. They want to know, how are you today? How are things going? What's keeping you busy? So I take a look at I look at what the intent is of what somebody's saying and try to internalize that and change the wording that I'm hearing to what they're really meaning and answer that question. So that's another way of moving forward. And that deep thinking, which is the courage part of it, is that deep thinking, how can I move forward when this is coming at me all the time? How can I move forward? And how can I change the way I react to when somebody says something to me in a positive manner because they mean it from their heart in a good way? I don't know if that's as much as courage as what you're looking for, but it's the power of words.
Well, it all ties together. And what you just said ties really well with something else that I believe in, which is understanding, getting to our true story. What's the story you're telling? And as you were sharing that example, what I heard was based on the story I tell myself, I may have the wrong reaction to a very innocent question.
Mhm.
And it's important to understand the story that the person also has behind the intent behind that question. Um, so I love that. Thank you very much. That was fabulous. Leah, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about courage or language as it pertains to courage?
I think just be in the moment and think about it. I think if we bring courage into your life and think about it and find what that word means to you, it can be something very simple. Sometimes it's a very simple thing. Encouraging can be trying a new food, and it can be something really big and deep, like how to move forward in your life. It can be all those things wrapped into one, but it is definitely a part of our life, and it's a word of deep meaning, and it can change your life if you have a relationship with courage. It's a healthy one.
Fabulous. Well, my goodness, I've loved chatting with you. Thank you so much for being so open and honest and even calling me out on my language. That was brilliant because I am all about language. Those of you that this is a new experience watching these videos, please do feel free to leave us a comment, let us know your thoughts. And I look forward to seeing you next time in my Women of Courage series. My name is Mahara. Have an amazing day.